There's a game. Adriano Nunes, FX. Okay. E4. It's time for an Alekhine's defense. Haven't played that in a while. See what we can do with it. Okay, yeah, there's different ways that white can play from here. That's one of them. It's kind of a waiting move in a way, because white can still continue with knight to f3, or white can play with c4, the chase the knight around. I'm not sure if that's the chase variation exactly or not. But knight f3, if you play knight f3 before moving the f-pawn forward, that's sort of committal. Anyway, knight f3 right here, I think that's the modern variation of the Alekhines, yeah. Why not? So I think I can pin the knight right away. I think it's a good idea to get the bishop outside the pawn chain when you have the chance, because I probably want to play e6 at some point. Open up a square for this dark squared bishop. e7 to e6. Yeah, so should I play it now to develop the knight? Let's develop this knight here. It's kind of with tempo. Is a threat? No, there's no threat. I'm sorry, there wasn't with tempo. I was forgetting the queen was defending the d-pawn, but of course, so if the queen weren't there, I could take and take, except my knight would be hanging anyway, so that was all nonsense. Okay, I'm going to try taking this way and getting an extra pawn in the center. There may be some problem with this, because lots of times people take with the e-pawn, maybe just because it opens up the center quickly. Okay, so one question is, can I play e5 immediately? He takes, I take. When he takes, it exposes an attack on the knight. So e5, pawn takes, and my knight is hanging, and I need to do something about it. Oh, pawn takes defends it. And can he get some pressure on the knight? Well, I can always move the knight away. It's not really pinned there. My queen is defended by the rook, so if it's not even really a threat to trade queens. It doesn't really mess up my structure much. So if I can get away with this, I don't know, maybe there's some tricky line, pawn takes, pawn takes. He brings his bishop out there. Could just drop the knight back and get out of trouble that way. The knight is going into a pin, but I wanted to play bishop e7 anyway, and that will unpin. And still pawn takes, pawn takes. If he trades queens, then I'll have to take back with a pawn, and my king will stay in the center. But I don't think that's a problem with the queens off the board. And I'll have the bishop pair. So I think it's all still okay. Yeah, so let's get in bishop to e7. So now I can castle, and I don't have to worry about pawn damage to the king side. And my e-pawn is still defended here. Yeah, so if he plays knight to c5, hitting this pawn, I could push it forward, hitting his knight. can't push it forward right now because his knight would just take it off. So I think castling is the right thing to do here. So if he moves this knight to c4 to double attack the e-pawn, then I'll play e5, and when this knight moves, I'll trade bishops. Okay, so he moved his queen to the side, so that plan is not really valid anymore. Let's go ahead and kick this bishop. This will help me unclog my pieces a bit, and bring another defender to the e-pawn so that it's not so fragile here. Okay, so I want to take with the queen. Now this is doubly defended. My knight's a little bit out of play, but the knight can actually go to f4. That looks interesting. Knight f4. This is pinned, but my my knight is not under attack on f4. So let's go here. And yeah, I can trade off his bishop at some point, maybe. Can think of tactics by taking on g2. Let's see, knight takes g2, bishop takes, defends. I guess this knight on f3 is well enough defended. Okay, so is he threatening to take it on? Is he threatening to take on e5? So if he takes with a knight, I just take back, and then he's got a pin on that knight. And then he could attack the knight. I could defend it. It's not so clear. Okay, let's just do like some normal development here. Okay, he feels the same way, so let's put a rook here behind the e-pawn as well. If this knight moves first, then probably I can just take his knight on f3. I wonder if there's a way for me to arrange the pawn push to e4. Right now, if I push to e4, he just takes it. So I really need more force. I could play f5 and then e4, but so I'd need to move my queen out of the way before that's an effective threat, because he's got a pin on the e file. So, oh, he's pinning the f-pawn, and he's attacking the b-pawn over here. So let's see, I can step aside and defend my e-pawn. I kind of like getting out of the line of fire. I mean, another idea here would have been maybe knight to knight d3. Knight d3 hits the rook. Could trade it off. That would bring this rook forward. Okay, I'm still not threatening to push e4, but if this knight moved, then I would be. You know, I could do something like a rook takes knight. Knight takes knight, bishop takes rook. Rook takes bishop. Okay, so he decided to kick my knight away. Do I want to go to e3 or do I want to go back? And d3. Knight d3. What if he just moves the rook? It's the most likely response. Then or taking. If he attacks it, then I have to find a square to move it to. That's the problem. Knight d3, he could play rook to e3, and the knight has nowhere to go, right? Here, all these dark squares are covered. Here. I could still come back to c5, hitting the queen. Let's see what he does. Oh, he lifted the rook to attack my bishop. Can defend the bishop or take the knight. Yeah, how about if I take the knight and then play knight to c5, forking the queen and the rook. That looks like that's worth something. Had to do that exchange first because my bishop was hanging. Okay, so I picked up an exchange. He traded rooks. I didn't have to do that. Now, what to do here? You know, rook back to all the way down to d1 pins the bishop. And then I could try and attack the bishop with my queen, but it's not so simple. Another idea here is just to let's see. I don't want to undefend this pawn. I was thinking of getting in the move f4, f5 here to kick the queen back. How about if I start with this g6, so that I can play f5. So it's just a pure exchange. I've got a rook for a bishop. As long as I don't let him get too active with his pieces, I should be in good shape here. So kicking the queen back is my idea here. He has to move the queen somewhere where it's in touch with that bishop. So that means the queen is going to oh, that square. Okay, and my knight is pinned. Can attack the bishop like this. And if he wants to trade out on c6, that's probably good for me. But yeah, so if I take with the bishop, his knight can take this pawn. So let's take with the pawn here. And his entry points for the queen are all covered at the moment. Queen could go to a6. I could play rook to d7. This knight's held at bay for the moment. Yeah, it's not a bad square for the queen. So let's lift the rook up. So I'm holding on to things here. Okay, so he's looking at this square again, the d5 square. I can check here, drive the king to this square, and then come back and pin that knight. Oh, you know, maybe just going directly to d5 would have been even better, because that would have been kind of a double attack. Here I don't really have much of a threat, so he can just move his queen again. Ah, but he decided to trade. Okay, so I think this is a good end game for me. So where's the knight going to? It can go to this square, or this square. What I want to do is take the d4 square away from the knight, and then push this pawn forward. Then I can start to bring my king in. He can go to this square. He can go to the c4 square. I'll have to watch out for that. What he can do from there. The trades, I guess, help him if he can get rid of all the pawns. That will be good for him. So what I want to do, since I can't penetrate over here, I'm going to bring my rook to the b file. Go after the b pawn here. Maybe I should have gone to the, I should have probably gone to the 6th rank here, so I got to attack both the b pawn and the a pawn. So if I push forward, he takes, I'll check and take pawn. Try and create some weaknesses over here that the rook can attack more quickly than the knight. And then if the king runs over to the queen side like this to help these pawns promote, then I can start harassing pieces over here. I guess there's a good place to go. I could try and force the knight to move first, but that didn't seem to help much, so just go directly after the pawn. Can't defend it, and if he pushes it, I will take, and if he takes back, I will take. So I have a couple pawns over here, and I'm taking with check. And I just push these pawns forward. And I just have to be careful that I don't get too far away from things here. So he's got a check here, and he's got a check here. Let's start pushing these pawns forward. Oh, no, that's nice. So let's see. If I take the knight and his king takes back, then I push, he pushes. Is anybody queen with check? Okay. Now let's give a check like this. This will force his king in front of the pawn. And then I'll start pushing. At some point, maybe I can give up the knight for the rook, but I have to do it at a time when I'm about to queen. I mean, there may be a time when I can give up my rook for the knight. Like here. He resigned. Okay, yeah, if he moves the knight, I will take the pawn. If he pushes the pawn, I'll take the knight, and then I'll sacrifice the rook for that pawn and win with these. Okay, good game. I will upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.